It's the final game of the group stage. Labosco and Gunther here with you, getting ready for the match between Double Shield Daniels and Quick Players. And we get another control map because it's only one that we get to play, Gunther. It's Oasis, and Oasis, of course, brings another wrinkle to how these controls can go.
Yeah, Oasis maybe not as beloved as some of the more classic maps like Lijiang or Nepal, but definitely you see a lot of really cool compositions coming out here. On maps like University, you might see some more close range brawl stuff or comps that can rotate around the coast side high ground really well. And much like Mecha Base, City Center on Oasis is kind of a check of how you understand high grounds and how you understand, how to rotate and how to manage your resources on those rotations.
The geometry of that map has always been interesting because of the pillar in the middle of the map, and then of course you have that high ground with the jump pad. It is definitely one of the cooler maps. I'm a fan of Oasis. I think it's another. I don't think there's. It's funny because I think with Control, it doesn't feel like there's really a bad map necessarily. Like none of them are as terrible as some of the assault maps that we have in Overwatch, at least.
I will. Maybe this is heretical, but even as a Lucio main, I don't really like Ilios.
Interesting.
People know that you can get booped in the well, so it's really hard to boop people into the well now, and it makes me a little sad.
See, you've got to play in some of these community tournaments because, there's some decent players in these, but they stand in areas to get booped all the time. Just saying, every now and then, I know you're a tier 2 player, but go into those lower level games in a tournament where it's a mix of SR, and you'll get your opportunities on Ilios, and maybe you'll feel a little different.
Yeah, well, I mean that's you can terrorize games and alt accounts for content all day long, but
yeah, just ask Samito, right? I love him. He's a great guy, though.
Yeah. Just rolling back to Oasis really quick. I think a lot of high-level players would love Oasis a lot more if the cars didn't give you frame drops and make it harder to play the game. Because rendering all the car models, it sometimes makes, your game run a lot less smoothly.
Interesting. I guess I've never paid enough attention to my FPS on those maps to notice, but Gardens is where we get to go, and this is another map that's a little interesting because of what it allows for a Pharah to do.
Yeah, you see a lot of strong Pharah comps here because they can come either coast side or they can come right over the top from your spawn and RKO your entire team out of nowhere. It's beautiful and scary when it happens, but you see a lot of different comps coming out on this map. It's small enough for brawl, but it's big enough for dive, and what we see in the spawn room looks like dive from both sides.
We've got a Doomfist on one side and Genji Tracer on the other too, so a little bit difference of looks that we're getting to see here too. As far as interactions between, Owen's showing us now the Torbjorn, so forget about the Doomfist.
Yeah, it harkens back to something we were talking about in the last match, where we see this fully committal ball monkey dive, and then you have some more defensive tools in the Zarya monkey dive, but still, both of them feel very committal, and maybe you don't necessarily have a separated front line and back line, which makes it a lot easier for some of these flanker DPS to pressure out your healers.
And already getting aggressive in is Moose, and a rocket punch in from Owen on to Sokai will already make this a very good-looking start for Double Shield. Owen having to be careful, though. Not getting healed up just yet. The Tracer catches him from behind, too, so evens things out a little bit. Double Shield on the low ground, Quick Players on the high ground, and they're quickly pushing in on and collapsing to the rest of the players left for Double Shield Daniels.
What it looks like there is Noarissa had to use a lot of her repair packs early on to keep Moose alive on the Winston, but because of that, they couldn't keep people like Owen alive because those flankers who are harder to heal for an Ana, those Brig repair packs really keep them up. And so, just that longer fight where those repair packs weren't all together went really, really poorly for Double Shield.
It's funny, too. Double Shield and is their name, not any Double Shields. But you're right. Have to watch out for those Brigitte armor packs. And, well, when you miss anti-nades like that, too, that doesn't help either. So Moose waiting on the low ground for that opportunity to dive in. And now we'll throw that shield down, splitting players off. And the Ana fell off for Quick players, so they're without a lot of their main healing. Still have their Brigitte in there to try and keep everybody else alive. The Pulse Bomb double kill from McRue, trying to even things back up. And Owen just trying to Seismic Slam in, gets halted by that. And this is a fight that's just drawing out.
Because of the fact that Nexus died early, the longer this fight goes on, the better and better it should be getting for Double Shield Daniels, but it looks like it's rolling back in favor of Quick players.
Have the help of that Primal Rage from Purple Flirt to make that happen, and they will keep building up percentage as a result at the very least, so even if they were to lose, which they don't, they have control and they only have to win maybe a fight and a half.
This next fight really comes down to how Double Shield plays around the Nano Blade. And, you know, we see Moose swapping to the Rhine, so much more of a brawly comp. But are they going to try and, you know, save all of their cooldowns? Or are they going to use Heat as Grav to counter the Nano Blade? They have a lot of options open to them. And, you know, maybe using those cooldowns or those ults hurts them in some ways, but they need to stop it somehow.
Very early rally coming out from the side of Quick players. Now out comes the Nano Blade. Players not able to get away. Owen coming down with a Meteor Strike, and now Hita following it up. So there's more value from the ults coming out from Double Shield than they're going to be able to get this flip.
Definitely a flip, but it might be that Quick players has a pretty good recontest coming out. They have a much faster dive comp, and Double Shield just, they had a lot of people get picked off in the middle of that fight. But they were able to absorb the Nano Blade and use the grab for offensive value, which was incredibly impressive.
And now they can try to build back up to that grab again. Ida's been one of the people just in these fights. They actually give away the point before coming back on. They needed to fully regroup, and Rally looked like it was getting used too. Purple Flirt using this Primal Rage, trying to throw players into the corner. No success yet, but has plenty of help behind. Does enough to displace players. And they've taken this back, and Quick players stop the shatter. This is their point to lose.
Quick players come back with that faster dive comp, those faster heroes. Even though, you know, Double Shield won the fight, Quick players come back, and they're able to recontest that because of the fact they're on heroes like the Wrecking Ball, like the Winston, who were just able to get out of spawn at Mach 5 and brawl and be in your face before the rest of your team is back to...
Like you said, it made such a difference, and now we get to see them go here to one of the maps we were talking about before, where you have all of this high ground on City Center, and they're actually fully switching now for Double Shield.
Yeah, this is, you know, harkening back to the Busan Mecha Base map, which I mentioned earlier, how it's all about how you rotate and all about how you control high grounds. I'm not sure what 100% people are rolling out on. I'm imagining Quick players are sticking with the dive, which has worked for them, but looks like Double Shield coming out on not Double Shield, but just Orisa Hog.
You know, ball and chain is always good. You know, pulled pork, whatever you want to call that composition with those two tanks in mind. And there's the pull in onto Punky, who rolls in and gets anti-nated going away, but has enough damage on to help get the Tracer out. So this is already an early advantage over to the team in red in Quick players, still making this dive work.
Yeah, it's the same thing that we've seen with dive versus bunker this whole time. If you let the bunker team set up, that dive team is going to have a hell of a time pushing into them. And, you know, this bunker team set up, but they're getting dismantled.
The Dragon Blade too. That's such a quick build to the blade to come back in. And now they're going to be able to take and continue to build percentage, and they're still doing fine on ults.
Yeah, that blade was built so fast that I did not even recognize he was coming into that fight with a blade. That's just impressive.
Right?
There's still not a lot of ults coming out for the side of Double Shield aside from the Nano Boost, but you don't really have a lot of strong Nano Boost targets on your team. Whereas on the side of Quick players, they're coming up on Pulse Bomb, they're coming up on Mines, they're coming up on Nano Boost, and they're just going to have to dive on rotations.
And it's going to make it very difficult, especially now you've got those players going into the mines, the anti-nade too, so they can't even mitigate any of the damage from that. Just perfectly clean and well done.
That was so clean. Those mines from Punky locked in Double Shield, and the entire team just dropped from the high ground. There was a strong anti-nade that came out from Nexaras, and they just absolutely pummeled them. That rotation is so hard to take onto that high ground when the dive comp has control, but Sokaki slept in front of in front of Double Shield.
So Kakige is able to get out though, thankfully. Like I was like, if he died there, that's one of those ones where if you're his teammates, you're probably saying some not very nice things to him about how aggressive he was being. But he's able to live to die another day is the good thing. And Punky can go swinging in on this wrecking ball onto the front line, throw those players up, displace them. But it's the other side that are getting the kills. It's going to be Double Shield getting an advantage. Mr. Rue trying to do something. So Kaki with the blade gets to the Ana, finally dashes back towards the tanks, tries to deflect, but it's too much damage. And this is Double Shield in front for the moment, just having to deal with stragglers.
I wasn't quite sure if it was a pull or a hook or a mixture of both, but Nexaras got pushed way too forward for an anti-nade, and it just ended up being that they couldn't nano the blade. The blade was used to not a lot of effect. Those mines got canceled, and the primal got burned. This point is hard to retake considering the ult economy and how strong it is in favor of Double Shield.
The nice thing is they are at 99%, so even though it is more difficult, they can be patient with it. Owen not being patient with using that ult, and is losing out though. The Molten Core only able to find one. He is getting extremely low, and the dive works to perfection again for quick players.
Yeah, in these 99-0 situations, you often see teams stacking ultimates, just trying to force out enemy ultimates and be ready for that final fight, because they only have to win one fight. But the quick players pull the trigger really early and are able to dive before Moose is back to shield his team, and they execute a dive incredibly well, and they're able to take that point without the threat of a bongo or without the threat of the upcoming rally.
And they didn't even have to worry because they were at 99%. You just have to stop players from getting back. That's what they do. And now they get to go to the part where it might be most difficult for their dive, though, for quick players. And as a result, they're already switching off of it.
Yeah, I want to see some good Lucio plays. I feel like we haven't seen a lot of Lucio so far, and he's my funky little man.
It's been a rough go for Lucio here lately.
Yeah, of course. It's been difficult. And on the side of Double Shield, we're seeing some kind of, I guess, counterintuitive stuff where you have that Baptiste Brig backline, which is very strong in the bunker comps, but you also have this Rein Zarya frontline who want to go really aggressively. So it's going to be really the dichotomy between how aggressive can quick players go versus how much can Double Shield absorb that aggressive, even if they're on mirror tank.
And they already have to absorb a little bit of damage from that low ground spot for Double Shield. And they are starting to back up and now getting aggressive with that. As a result, it's quick players, but maybe too aggressive. They lose no Risa, but Moose is down, so they still have their main tank. And now with no main tank, quick players can throw out a lot of damage from Mr. Rue. Mick Rue, not Mr. Rue. Mick Rue. A little bit of dyslexia there on my part, but quick players in control early on.
You see that lamp get forced out really early again, or not again here, but you see that lamp get forced out really early, and maybe Mello is able to get 100% to his ult, but they lose that fight, and they're gonna have to retake here, and that is always more difficult than holding control.
And now they've got to go through a Bob too. McRue built that up so fast, throws it out immediately, players into the sky. They can't even take advantage of the window that's put down. Amplification Matrix matters not when Bob is there to do things.
Mikru's Bob hit a 4-man uppercut. That was the Mike Tyson of Bobs right there. And, the square comes out, but that Bob displaced the entirety of Double Shield. And because of that, quick players were able to go more aggressive, push into the enemy team, and just kill half of them before they were able to blink.
And now they're coming in with the rally. They get pulled into Graviton Surges on either side. Earth Shatter afterwards, the Immortality Field keeping them up though for Double Shield Daniels. And now Sakaki has to pull out the blade. Coming through, and another Bob from McRue too. The Bob and the blade, too much to handle, and quick players up to 65%.
Oh, just the BM in front of spawn. I respect it, man. But yeah. that was a lot of ults coming out at the end of that fight for quick players. They used the Nano Blade too. If you look at this, Double Shield is coming back into it with a Shatter, with a Window, with a High Noon, almost with a Death Blossom. Maybe they just want to use something like the Window to recharge some of their ults with that extra damage, and they can hold here pretty easily. They have to win the fight first.
Of course, have to win the fight, have to keep your Reinhardt alive. Charged away, and he goes down. Purple Flurp able to get that, but the Deadeye able to keep even things back up for Double Shield. The best chance that they've had to win on this point, and Kirby is doing so much on this McCree to make sure that they do.
Yeah, it was, they just used the square to recontest. They're 70 on another grab. They have Death Blossom. They have Shatter. They have a lot of ults coming up to hold here. If they're able to carefully manage ult economy, and more importantly, absorb the next Nano Blade, they can take this.
Oh, Purple Flurp getting aggressive again, exposing his back line, being bubble blocking a lot of that from Punky though, and now they get pulled into the grab. McRue able to get the Immortality field up, and they're able to take advantage even though they were pulled in, and now they can use grab, about to get up to that blade too. Kirby trying to deal with Punky, but there's too much healing come through, so Kaki pulls out the blade, and now can move on towards those backline players. Even fight though, Kirby's still in this, gets hit with that dynamite, and is now hitting shots!
Oh, and Punky is booped off the map at the end. That's so awful for Azaria, because when they have 100 energy, they want to keep that. They want to stay alive more than anyone else for the next fight, so they can get a lot of good spam damage in. But now, Hida's on a kind of suboptimal hero for this map. They're stuck on the ball, and they need to find some way to engage into Quick Player's comp. They don't have a lot of CC to deal with the ball, but still, he doesn't feel like he'll be very impactful.
And now they have to try and go through the amplification matrix too. Bob coming out again, does manage to hit a few players. Deadeye from Curve again. Too much to handle on this McCree, has been such a pivotal part of Double Shield staying on this point, but Purple Flip isn't done yet. McRue, dynamite kill, Earthshatter not finding. Pay Dirt is the only problem, but the hammer is.
Yeah, he was stuck on the ball because of that overtime recontest fight. Quick Players is able to come in with a nano and just run over the front line of Double Shield. There's a swap to Tracer, but I don't think we're going to see a contest here, and that is a 3-0 for Quick Players.
A very good 3-0 from them to take this. Double Shield Daniels, it's felt like they found something just a little bit too late to really even compete.
Yeah, of course. Maybe it's 3-0, but I don't feel like that reflects how much, Double Shield Daniels, it really even gave them, a real fight for it. There were a lot of moments where it could go either way, and Quick Players were able to just clutch out at the last moment.
Especially on that last map. The other maps, it felt like they were adjusting, but as far as our group stages go, sure, we don't get everyone to be a 3-2 win, but we had very competitive games throughout here in this just the group stage of the Pluto Cup.
Yeah, this, say what you will about metas of the past and metas of current, but this was some fun Overwatch. I think that, even people who may have came out of this with a defeat, I think they enjoyed themselves. I certainly enjoyed myself, and I wasn't even playing.
And they're not even done yet. That's the best part. We're not going to be done with this just yet. I'm going to be done, but there's still more games that are going to have to be played here for the Pluto Cup. The nice thing about what's going to happen next, everybody who was that you just saw in group stages, now we'll move over to bracket play. So every team makes it into the bracket. It's just where do you position? So teams that were at the top will get a bye, and then the other teams will play at the beginning of the single elimination. So that's what's coming up, and that's what's next here. And that's going to be, I believe it's going to be you, Gunther, and Big Hungry Phil. So that should be a very fun matchup that you guys get to call for all those playoff games.
Yeah, I'll miss you dearly, but if you love something, let it go.
Our time was short, but it was a lot of fun. And now there's a extremely sultry tones of a man from the UK who gets to come in next. But again, stick around for the Pluto Cup. There's more coming up next. We're going to take a timeout, and then we'll be back with that.